So my name is Carlos Walker, and this is Art and Hustle, Black Authors Matter. And today we have Miss Nicole Johnson. How you doing?
I'm doing well, Carlos. How are you?
Life is perfect.
Yes,
So,
it is.
so first off, I want you to share who you are and what you do.
Okay. I am the Nicole Johnson. I'm the founder of Girl Your Money Matters, which is affectionately known as the gym, where we have all sorts of exercises to help you get financially fit. And I teach women to define and achieve their goals of financial freedom so that they can live life on their own terms.
Mm, I like this. This is most definitely something that is very important. Even in the Word of God, it tells you that you should be a good steward
Absolutely.
over the things that God has blessed you with. So
Mhm.
before we get even talk about that, share about what the book is about and your inspiration behind it.
So the book is called Rebellious Riches.
Mm,
Okay, so this book has been brewing for some time. It is a walk through women's financial trauma, and it includes steps where they can not only read but answer questions, and they're meant to have them, what I do, go back and take an examination of where their trauma started. And the reason that that is important is because it's not for us to get stuck in condemnation. We have to recognize what the root of the problem is in order to shift and do something differently.
mm,
So, Rebellious Riches is designed to help you create a roadmap to a good foundation to start changing your relationship with your money. Once we do that, then we can get on a path to not only crushing our debts, increasing our credit score, but now we can start moving into wealth building and teaching our children better financial habits because most women learn trauma either from the lack of being taught or being in a bad relationship where he controlled the money. So my passion is to ensure that women don't have to stay in relationships because they can't afford to leave. And that was the source of my trauma. My mother didn't have, she was a stay at home mom in the project. And I talk about that inside of the book. And because I had to realize as an adult, that is where my trauma stemmed from.
mm.
Watching this man control my mother with money. And I went to the extreme as an adult where I was the person in control. And it was a big impact on my marriage, which eventually led to divorce. By choice, well, don't get me wrong, but it, it was a lot of those factors that factored into it because I didn't know better. But once I learned better, once I defied, that's why it's called rebellious riches. Once I defied what society called and labeled me as, and I achieved my goal of my level of financial freedom, it became my passion to turn around and give women a hand up so that they didn't have to go through the same trials and tribulations. And if they were already there, I was there to help bridge the gap so that they could get to the other side.
Hmm. Thank you for the book that you've put together.
Thank you.
Uh, there's many things that come, I guess you could say, from past experiences and being able to see what people have went through. Like you say your mother was a stay-at-home mother.
Yes. Mm.
So being a stay-at-home mother, people do happen to be around their parent a little bit and get fostered a lot more. I can see where one part, yes, the money part might have been one part, but these days kids are not being able to be fostered or nurtured by their parents. And one reason is because both parents are at work and
Yes.
the child will come home and they have nobody to, I guess you could say, that's there to care.
Yes.
And then when the parents get home, there is a lot of tired. They tired as they can be. So what they don't want to do is have to deal with a child. So while I do see the hurtful part that you got to see your mother go through, I also, for me, I always look at the brighter part. I got to see that from what you tell me, she was able to nurture y'all
A little.
because she was there. That's what I'm basically saying.
Yes. By the time that was the scenario for us, um, the financial damage had already been done.
Mm,
Um, because there was more abuse in the household.
okay, okay. Yeah, there was a situation there.
There was
I,
a whole yeah, there were other listen, women they dealt with a lot of things that when you start to peel back the layers,
mm-hmm,
right? So a lot of times when I talk to women about their money, it's not just the money. The money is the biggest issue because they
mm-hmm.
can't leave because they don't have anything to do. They
Because
don't have any
they're
income.
getting stuck in this situation with not
Correct.
with nowhere to be able to wiggle.
Nowhere to go. Now there's some other issues, the physical abuse, the emotional abuse. So there's all sorts of other things within those layers. Um, money is the vehicle for escape, right? I was fortunate enough to have family members that made it a point. Nikki, come on over here for the weekend, so that I got that type of relief. My mother was in a codependent
She
relationship,
didn't have to
and
do nothing.
because I was not his child, I
Mm.
got the brunt of it.
Oh,
So there were many layers, and so the biggest thing was as the way I looked at it. If my mother had been able to afford to leave, I had hoped and prayed that she would go. So yeah, so the book does talk about teaching our children different habits, the different hats that women wear. But the one of the other important tasks is to be able to forgive yourself, right?
yes.
I had to get to a point to forgive my mother because there was a lot of betrayal, there was a lot of disappointment, there was lack of protection. So I had to be able to forgive her, but I also talk to women about being able to forgive themselves
Mm-hmm.
because there what I did everybody doesn't have that hand up.
Exactly.
Everybody doesn't have somebody there to help them have an outlet.
Mm-hmm.
And so my aunt was an outlet for me. So I was able to see over there a different environment and sometimes healthier environment. But, you know, the hats that women wear, the things that they have to do is when we have children, we have to be careful that, yes, being present is absolutely important, but
Mm-hmm.
what you do in their presence is even more important
It's
because
even more.
your children will do what they see you do, not necessarily what you sit down and talk to them about.
I promise you. What's that saying they used to say?
Do as
Do
I
as
say.
I say, not as I do. But that ain't the way life moves.
And
So,
that is not how children are. They will do absolutely what they see you do and hear not anything that you said.
and that's because hey, we are visual. We have three different ways that we learn: visual, auditory, kinesthetic.
Mhm.
So, just to keep going, uh, what else do you talk about in the book? Your past, you're giving them guidance on how to get their finances up, or
Yeah.
as you say, get in the gym and get your and work out because you got to work these things
You
out
gotta work these things.
in order
Got
to
to
get to the
get
next stage.
financially fit.
Exactly. So, what else do
Mhm.
you talk about in the book?
One of the biggest things that I do is I use myself as an example. So, after my divorce, well, prior to my divorce, when I left college, I had a bunch of those little applications that we fill out, get that little
Hmm.
T-shirt and that 2 liter Coke, and never realized that there's going to be a bill attached when you start swiping this card. So I had as a young adult, a lot of credit card debt that nobody explained to me about. So, I filed bankruptcy Okay. Then I go on, I get married, I have two children. That didn't work out. Now I got to file bankruptcy again. So, according to society, I'm a two-time loser, but I'm a rebel with a cause.
To me,
So I
you want to
talk
lose it, but you about to reestablish yourself.
so I talk about how I wanted to become a homeowner. And in doing so, I go to these seminars about home ownership, and they always tell you got to have good credit. They tell you need a good savings account and a budget. I was boom, three strikes, I was already out. But I stayed always to the end with the hopes that now that you told me the what, will you now show me the how?
Mm,
And they never did. So being the Nicole Johnson, I taught myself. I taught myself how to, at 30 plus years old, had never had a written budget. So me and my paperwork, my 30 plus page credit report, sat down and worked out a budget. Started cutting expenses, not realizing where all my money was going. So we cut expenses. Um, just really defining, do my goals win or do my goals lose?
mm.
Whatever the choice is, it's my choice. And so because I wanted to have a place for a home for my kids, my goals are going to win.
So for you, basically, what you did, do my wants win or do my needs win?
Okay.
And for you, you ended up looking at, I need a place for my children.
Absolutely.
I don't I don't need some of the things that my flesh may want, which may be a pocketbook, some shoes, some of the things uh that we want. I got to look at what's needed.
Yes.
Where am I trying to go? And you
Yes.
sat down with yourself, as you said, and went through these things only to become the best version of you, to be the superhero that you are today for these ladies that you are actually now have wrote a book about.
Yes.
Because you only use your, and to me, I don't think it's really just for ladies. I think
I
it's for
don't.
men.
I don't think I usually get men through couples and their marriage. I usually don't have men, but a few, because not only did I talk about not this, I didn't just buy a house, Carlos. Let me say this: when God moves in your life, in
Mm,
my life, in your life, it's clear that no matter what the result is, His hand is involved.
good God.
So I was working, and my goal was to be in our home by the time my daughter graduated 8th grade so that she could start high school on time with her class. And so that was the summer of 2009. So I started in the spring, the early part of 2008. I gave myself that year and a half to get together. I found my house the latter part of April of 2009. At that time, I worked for the state of Alabama. May, I got a job with federal government.
Mm,
The last thing they wanted me to do was change jobs. I said, if this house is for me, it's going to be there when I'm ready, when I requalify. I sat on that lady's couch. I looked around the house. It had everything that I wanted. I only had three things it required: screen doors on all the doors. It had to have a fenced in yard, and every window needed to be covered by blinds. I didn't want much. I didn't want much. And from during May, June, and July, I didn't requalify again until August. That house went under contract 5 times. Five different people, four of them, their financing fell through. The fifth lady pulled out. I said, because that house wasn't for her.
it was
He
for
set
you.
that house aside for me and my children. And when I bought the house, I had less than $2,000 of out of pocket expenses. I had to take $602 and some change to the closing table. And the interest rate was locked in at 2.25%. It was the biggest house on the cul-de-sac. I have people still asking me today, how did you do it? I was like, you just gonna have to ask God about that.
Well,
You gonna have to ask him.
one thing you or we know, everybody may not know, but for y'all who don't believe in God, it's okay. Look, just believe in yourself until you figure it out. But for
Yes,
us who do, we know that God opens up doors
yes,
and allows things to happen that wouldn't happen.
that's
It
right.
wasn't for God, but then he also prepared her before it got there because he prepared her mind to say, look, I need to sit down and work some things out. But then guess what? She decided to write a book,
To
especially
do.
for those that's out there so they can actually get the knowledge that other people wasn't telling in their seminars just for y'all. So
Yes,
the Nicole Johnson, I left off the in the beginning, I apologize.
it's okay.
But the Nicole Johnson has did a service for each and every one of us. Because like I said, this ain't just for women. This is for men. Yes, men and women go through some things in life, but what we can always do is be better.
Yes.
Be better versions of ourselves. She decided to be a better version of herself. And this is the reason why she's also in a position that God has allowed her to be in, to be able to share her material. So, one, I want to tell all y'all, please go and support the Nicole Johnson's book. But also, if you can reach out to her, get coaching, get whatever you need, please tap into her because she's a financial institution, and this is something that we all need. We
Yes.
all need to figure out how we can get our finances in order to be better stewards of those things that God has called us to have. A lot of us are settling for minor stuff,
Hmm.
wants, not knowing that God has needs that He's going to take care of, but wants that He will provide for you once you get your life and your money in order, which is what
That's
her
it.
book is about.
Yes.
So before we end, I want you to tell them where they can find your book, where they can get in touch with you if it be to get some of this information that you have. And then the last thing, I want a word of wisdom.
Okay. So you can get the book at rebelliousriches.com. It's actually attached to a vision board that I also do because I'm very big on creating a theme for your year. And so I'll
Mhm.
just show real quickly. This is my vision board.
Okay.
You can see it. So this is my vision board, and it's portable. And I think it's important now that people are returning back to the office. Take your goals with you. So you can find me at www.rebelliousriches.com. And right now, Carlos, they can get a copy of the book for free,
Mm.
just for the cost of shipping. And then if you want the vision board, I provide the board, some stickers, but more importantly, I provide you with the insight on how to map out the roadmap to your destiny. And
Mm.
that's most important for me. If you want to, you can find me in the gym on Facebook, just spelled just like that, GYMM on Facebook. Um, where I create an environment of safety where you don't have to feel ashamed of whatever you've been through. So, on words of wisdom, men, yes, this is definitely for you. But as a woman, I can speak to what our heart is. We spend so much time putting everyone first that we are the last ones we focused on. But human nature says there's a law of self preservation. I need you to focus on you so that you can continue to be a safe and healthy support system. And you can't do that when you're sick, when you're ill, when you're emotionally and physically and mentally beat down, that really all you're doing is functioning inside of your dysfunction. And
Mm.
it's time for us to be, if we are the core of the generations and the society, we've got to be healthy so that those we love can be healthy. Those are my words of wisdom.
Thank you, Miss D. Nicole Johnson, for those words of wisdom. And like once again, y'all go get this mental currency that she has and that she's willing to share and expend out so then y'all can expand out. Look, Love you. Thank you for joining me. For y'all, this is Art and Hustle. She is the Nicole Johnson. My name is Carlos Walker. Peace and blessings.
Thank you for